3 weeks later, it was reported that on Sunday, the new British military airship, the successor to the Nulli Secundus, which was wrecked at the Crystal Palace, made a circuit of 10 miles in the neighborhood of Farnborough. That one from a report on July the 27th, 1909. One wonders what modern-day pilots would say about that. Shortly thereafter, it was reported that the brothers Wright had signed a contract with Mr. Lazare Weyler of Paris to make a flight of 33 miles in a closed circuit with 2 people on board the aeroplane, after which the syndicate would buy the patents for £20,000. That's July the 30th, 1908. Those interested in flying machines are extraordinarily enthusiastic in regard to Mr. Wright's first flight at Le Mans in France. Don't forget, this is the first public flight that the Wright brothers had. The flight was described as absolutely bird-like, strong, yet responsible to every movement of the steersman, who was seated on a sort of bicycle saddle. The machine rose by the release of a weight. On landing, Mr. Wright was hugged and kissed by the excited Frenchman. Continuing his experiments with his aeroplanes at Le Mans on Thursday, Mr. Wright made a flight lasting over 8 minutes. He afterwards stopped the motor, but in gliding to the earth, broke the left wing of the machine. Mr. Wright's efforts took a new direction when he made real bird-like flights, skimming through the air without using the motor. The aeroplane rose 90 feet in the air, descending in a curving line to the earth. Then, owing to some mistake, heeled over and the wing touched the ground, causing damage which was easily repaired. The Herald, August the 14th, 1908. Now, in a conversation on the subject of flying machine, Mr. Thomas Edison is quoted as professing his belief in the helicopter, which can screw itself up into the air without the need of a running start on wheels to obtain the momentum for an ascent that the aeroplane requires. It can go straight against the wind as the type of heavier than air machine that must come. He saw no future, speaking commercially, for the dirigible balloon. It is stated that the helicopter involves the principle fancifully ascribed to in Jules Verne's Robur the Conqueror, and the names of Professor Pickering of Harvard University, Herr J. Hoffmann of Berlin, and Monsieur Paul Cornu, the French man of science, are given as amongst the inventors interested in the helicopter as well as Mr. Edison. In addition to rising vertically like a balloon, they believed that the helicopter would, when perfected, be able to turn in a much smaller circle than an aeroplane or dirigible balloon. It can hover in one spot, whereas an aeroplane must always keep in rapid motion, and it can maneuver easily in any direction. As Professor Pickering expresses it, the helicopter is dependent upon the action of one or more vertical screw propellers, and is one of 3 known classes of flying machines, the other 2 being such as having flapping wings and aeroplanes. Beyond giving views and making suggestions, it does not appear that Mr. Edison had serious intentions of turning his inventive skill to flying machines. And that comes from the Herald of September the 8th, 1908. On October the 31st, 1908, an English aeronaut living in France, Henry Farman, accomplished a fine performance when he flew from Chalon to Rheims, covering the distance of 26 miles in 20 minutes at an average height of 120 feet. And that's from the Herald, October the 31st, 1908. A Frenchman named de Lagrange, in a flight with an aeroplane at Issy on Sunday, beat the time record by remaining in the air for 30 minutes, during which he covered 15.5 miles. He was compelled to stop, owing to the exhaustion of his supply of petroleum. That's from the Herald of September the 8th, 1908.